Okay, Hare Krishna. So we'll begin our class. Today we will complete Canto number 1 and move on to Canto number 2. So, how many chapters are there in Canto number 1? 19 chapters. Okay. How many chapters are there in total in Srimad Bhagavatam? 335. Very nice. How many verses are there? 18,000 verses. Very good. And if you were to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, one chapter per day, within 11 and a half months, you will complete the entire Bhagavatam. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah? 11 and a half months. So many devotees, what they do is, they don't go into the purports in the first year. What they do is they just read the translation. Just read the translation for the entire chapter. And they go to the most important verses. Right? So, for example, today you start off with Canto number 1, chapter number 1. Right? You read all that verses, you try to reflect on this, and maybe the first verse of Canto number 1, chapter number 1, not maybe, but it is the most important. So you read that, not just the translation, but the entire purport. So as you progress on a daily basis, you realize that, wow, it's connecting. You know? So some devotees, they take that as a challenge, and they can complete the entire Bhagavatam in 1 year. So we will start with our class proper. Karuna Mai Mataji, what do we start with normally? We start with the Mangala Charan. Yes, we start with Mangala Charan. Om Jnana Dasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuddha Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagarpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what's next? Karuna Mai Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. So before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest. One should offer our respectful obeisances onto the personality of Godhead Narayan, onto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human beings, onto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and onto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasta Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the person Bhagavatam, right, or Bhagavat, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. Not that the problems will go away. The problems will remain, but you will realize that, yes, this is the material world, right? And of course, sometimes if Krishna wishes, the problems will go away too. And loving service onto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, will become established as an irrevocable fact. Okay? So now we will go into the remaining sections of Canto number 1. So now Krishna has gone back to the spiritual world, and we are getting into the start of Kali Yuga. Okay, so at the start of Kali Yuga, what happens is, Parikshit Maharaj, his praja tells him that there's a lot of problems right now, right? Because of the advent of Kali. So Kali Purush has already stepped onto earth. And what Kali is doing is propagating the 4 vices, which is rampant meat eating, rampant intoxication, and rampant illicit sex, right? What is the last one? And gambling. Okay. So now Parikshit Maharaj, being the ideal ruler, he's asked to do something about this. Right? So we have learned that while he was on his expedition, he saw, right, a cow and a bull. The cow was desperately crying for help. The cow represents Bhumi, and the bull represents the 4 pillars of Dharma, right? And the bull was also crying because 3 of its legs were damaged, right? 3 of its legs were damaged. Only 1 was remaining. What did it represent? Truthfulness. Okay. Cleanliness was gone. Okay. Austerity was gone. Okay. Austerity means, you lead a simple life. There's no meat eating, etc. Cleanliness means you don't get into intoxication, etc. Right? So all of that were gone. Religion was slowly degrading. Truthfulness was sort of remaining, right? But cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, all of that was slowly decreasing. Okay. So being the ideal king, he had to stop this. So he approached Kali Purush with full of anger and told him, what are you doing over here? Right? Because of you, we are getting into the degraded age. And he was about to kill this Kali Purush. But then Kali Purush pleaded, please, allow me to live. And I will go wherever you think I should not be there. And then what did Parikshit Maharaj say? Parikshit Maharaj say, okay, you can go to these 4 places, right? Where you can still thrive. Okay. For example, the gambling dens, prostitution places, the bars, etc. All right, you can remain there. But then Kali Purush said that, yeah, but under your reign, under your rule, there are no such places. Then he said, okay, you can also live where there is gold. Okay, so we learned all of this in the last few classes. Right? So it was a sutra, but dressed as a king near the Saraswati River. So you can see all of these notes later on. So on hearing the king, Kali understood that he was being cheated under the rule of the king, and there were no places where such acts of irreligion were performed. He therefore asked for something practical, and the king therefore offered him a 5th place. You may live where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there is falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. Okay. So then we complete that part of the Bhagavatam. But you see, even though Kali Purush was reprimanded by Parikshit Maharaj to live only where there was gold, but when Parikshit Maharaj left, then you see all these places became much more thriving and rampant again. Okay. But amidst all of these impurities on earth, there are two amazing things about Kali Yuga. And this is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Okay. First one is, at the end of the Bhagavatam, it is declared by Sukadev Goswami, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but there is one good, one amazing quality about Kali Yuga. Simply by chanting the Lord's names, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental. See, so easy formula Krishna has given us. Sukadev Goswami explained this very clearly. You can say whatever you want about Kali Yuga, but at the same time, people are very, very fortunate. They don't have to do amazingly huge fire sacrifices. That is not required. They don't have to do extensive deity worship. That is not required. They don't need to get into this dhyana or meditation, running away into the forest. All of that is not required. Just sit wherever you are and just chant the Lord's name with full attention. What should your attitude be when you are chanting the Lord's names? It's like you are getting into an interview, right? Shalini Mataji, when you are in an interview with your potential employer, does your mind go anywhere else? You're totally focused, right? Similarly, when we are chanting the Lord's name, it's an interview with the Lord. The Lord's names are so pure, they are like dancing on our tongue, right? The Lord is non-different from his names. Okay, so that's one amazing quality of Kali Yuga. What is the other one? Yes, the scriptures, all right? So there's still truthfulness remaining, but what is the truthfulness represented by? That the scriptures are still around. Srimad Bhagavatam is still around. Bhagavad Gita is still around. They can lead us to truthfulness. That is why of the bull, the 3 legs are, heavily injured. Only one is okay, the truthfulness leg. Because you can still go and find truthfulness in the Shastras. Anyone, any guesses? What is one more? This Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavatam. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Exactly. Wonderful, right? So the age of Kali is called the fallen age, right? So, yes. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. Just like sometimes the mother will scream, I'm going to kill you for not washing the pots and pans. You don't get any karma for that. Because the mother doesn't mean it, Okay. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of that act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious activities simply by thinking of them. Isn't it amazing? If you cannot do extensive deity worship, etc., you do not have the resources to offer to the Lord. You can even think that, okay, I've gone to the market, I've bought all of these ingredients. Now I'm starting to cook for Krishna. Krishna is absolute. All right. He can also receive. Okay. If it's with pure, genuine love and devotion, the Lord will also reciprocate. All right. In your mind, remember that Pandit, he had no ingredients. In his mind, he was thinking of all of this. He was making hot kheer in his mind. And then what did he do? Let me now just test and see whether the kheer is hot or cold for Krishna. Imagine he's putting his finger into the bowl of hot kheer. He burnt his finger. Okay, so that's the potency. All right, so, Krishna is so kind. In this age, whatever we think which is not correct, if we don't execute on it, it's all right. But still, we should not do it. Because once an idea is seeded in the mind, there is a high propensity for it to actually result in its real happening. Right? You meditate in your mind to execute, right? Okay. Uncle Prabhu, any reflection? I can see you deep thought. Exactly, exactly. You know, the Lord is so merciful, right? Yes, correct. What's the intent behind this happening? Very nice one. Yeah. Okay. So remember these two points. Karuna mind. Okay. So this is a summary of the first canto, right? Remember how many important questions, key questions were posed by the sages of Naimishranya to Sutta Goswami? 6, right? Hey, last week you all were all so excited about going to Naimishranya and all that, and suddenly I see so few registrations for the trip in you know, I'm going to close it today. If you all are not going, it's okay, no problem. And then I will quickly check how many are going. You don't have to come to Eco Village like Prabhuji. He's going directly to Rishikesh. He's going to meet us in the Delhi airport, etc. So you don't have to go for that Eco Village, etc. If you have only about 5 days, you can go there directly. Or if you want to go just to Ayodhya, I think 3 days is sufficient. Okay? All right. So this is a quick snapshot of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1. This is an amazing literature, not from Bhagavatam, but it actually gives a good summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore I wanted to share this with you before we get into Canto number 2. So the soul is a spiritual spark, correct? We have learned in Bhagavad Gita. It is non-different from Krishna. Same qualities, but we are infinitely small. The Lord is infinitely huge, right? So the soul is a spiritual spark and Krishna is the spiritual sun. Seeing eternal Krishna, the soul adores him. Okay? But the soul, you know, being very active, being very, very creative, sometimes sees that, wow, only Krishna is enjoying and we are all servants. Let us also think about enjoyment. So when the souls become averse to Krishna and desire enjoyment, thereby Maya will seize them. Okay? We may be asked to go to earth and enjoy as much as we can, right? Until we reach a certain stage where we have that clear intention of wanting to go back, right? So when someone is possessed by a ghost, they become bewildered. This condition overtakes soul bound by Maya. Right? So when Maya is there, you can't see the potency of spirituality because she covers yours nicely, you know. Remember the cloud? She covers us so nicely, right? And in that process, we forget that actually we are an eternal servant of the Lord. Souls become slaves of Maya and therefore they wander indefinitely. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Because we have forgotten who our real father is. Okay? Sometimes they become kings and sometimes they become subjects. Sometimes Brahmins and sometimes Sudras. Sometimes sad, sometimes happy, and sometimes insignificant ends. Depending on karma. Excellent. Okay? And they are sometimes in heaven, sometimes on earth. What is the meaning of heaven, Raj Prabhu? Exactly, the upper planetary system, which is still within the bounds of the material world. So good. All right. How big is the material world compared to the spiritual world? Exactly. 1/4, yeah, around 1/4 is here, or 1/3, is it? One quarter, and then 3/4 is the spiritual world. Okay, which means that there are actually many more souls in the spiritual world, serving Krishna. We are the ones who decided that, let's try something new. And we are stuck forever. So sometimes, because of the amazing deeds from earth, we go to the upper planetary system. We enjoy as much as we can further until that karma is exhausted. Then we come back to the material world, to the not material world, to earth again. All right. So this goes up and up. If I'm bad, then I'll go down. Right? Come back. So sometimes in heaven, sometimes on earth, and sometimes again in hell. Sometimes gods. We can also become a Brahma. We can also, because these are all designations. Right? Sometimes servants, sometimes demons, and sometimes we become masters. And while wandering through this samsara in this way, some souls become aware of their true nature because of the mercy of a sadhu. See? Right, Bhagwanji? Sometimes just because of the mercy, we don't realize, maybe we are passing a temple. One sadhu is passing by, you just get the sukriti because he's full of that burning fire and he can give that fire to you. Sometimes in the airports, we see these mahans, these sadhus, etc. The best thing to do is just to pay obeisances to them. Really, I tell you, it's so good. And you don't need to say, oh, maybe they are from a different sampradaya. No. Who am I to judge? Just pay. Last week, I was in Singtel shop, renewing my Singtel contract. I saw a Buddhist monk also queuing up. I went up to him, I paid my obeisances, right? I asked him, where are you from, etc. Made him comfortable. We had a nice chat, and then I left. Nice. It's nice. You never know in who is actually there, right? Okay. So, while wandering through samsara, some souls become aware of their true nature just because of their sukriti. By associating with the sadhus, understanding their true nature, they no longer desire samsara and they lament, why have I been serving Maya? Hare Krishna, Krishan ji. We have Bhagwan, we have Krishan. Look at their parents. Ram, the love for Ram Sanehi. Amazing, huh? Great parents. Okay. So, those who have been in this samsara, they are lamenting. What's this? Cryingly, they say, oh Krishna, I am your servant, but I have left your feet and become utterly ruined. Krishna mercifully frees those souls from samsara if they even once earnestly call out to him. Just imagine, you have a rich billionaire, and the son is like, I'm fed up of staying in all this big, you controlling me, etc. I'm going to leave. Take marke, and then suddenly he comes back after many years. All he needs to do is just tell our father, I'm back. I'm very sorry about this. The father will not accept him. No, the father will accept him. But for a start, he may put some test to you to see whether you are really interested or not. Hare Krishna, Trilok ji. So we have another great personality. You know what's Trilok? Yeah, 3 loks. He's the head of the 3 loks. Trilok, not the king of the 3 loks. Yeah. Not interested. Okay, anyway, let's move on. This is being recorded. So, 3 lok means Vamana Dev, Vamana Dev, he asked for 3 steps of land, right? So he became, but he's taller than Vamana. All right, so Krishna mercifully frees those souls. Leaving Maya behind, souls now hanker for Krishna. And by continuously serving Krishna, they reach his lotus feet. And Krishna then gives them his spiritual power, and Maya becomes powerless, stops attracting them. Do you think she's angry? She's so happy. I have one less person to take care of. Right? I want only to chant the names of Krishna in the association of the sadhus. There's no other way to conquer samsara. But how are you going to have a sadhu in your house to chant Tulsi Maharani? Chant in the association of her, and you will see how your bhakti can actually flourish. What do you think of these prayers, Shalini Mataji? It's an amazing encapsulation of the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Right? Where we were, what we desired, what our intention was, how Maya captures us, and then we start crying, and the Lord says, okay, I will take care of you. Okay. So now we get to Canto number 2. Right? So the sadhus, what do? They come and sever, right, our ties. They cut our ties. Right? The material world was created because we wanted to enjoy independently from the Lord. And what are yoga systems for? The word yoga itself means to reconnect, right? So yoga systems means just to reconnect. You can reconnect back through many yoga systems, but the topmost is bhakti yoga, because you are giving your heart, your soul, all right, in pure devotional service to the Lord. Okay. And it is not a difficult process. Right? It's not a difficult process. So the conclusion by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and Sukadev Goswami in Bhagavatam is the same. What was the conclusion of Krishna's by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita? Leave all those religions, just come to me. All right? And I will protect you and I will bring you back. And what is Sukadev Goswami saying about Kali Yuga? There's so many, unimaginable wrong potencies of Kali Yuga. But there are two amazing things. Sukadev Goswami speaks about one, which is the power of chanting the Lord's names. So what we need to do is sometimes we need to disconnect to connect. Going to the Dham, for example, Ram Prabhu, you're disconnecting from everyone so that you can actually connect with the Lord. Waking up, Mangal Arati time. Bhagwanji, what are you doing? You're disconnecting from your business. You're just having a one-on-one interview session with Krishna. Right? So that's the meaning of you need to disconnect to actually connect. Right? And there are influential connectors who can actually also connect us. For example, the sadhus, even the devatas, they can actually connect us to Krishna. Right? So Sukadev Goswami recommendation is you chant the Lord's names, be in the association of devotees, and then you can go to the spiritual world. In chapter number 2, we will learn from Brahmaji's own experience. All right? He was personally tutored by the Lord so that we all can learn, right? And he studied the Vedas 3 times. So as we know, bhakti is the process of engaging our senses in the loving service of the Lord. Right? Ambrish Maharaj, all his senses, he had actually leveraged them in serving the Lord. Okay, his feet to walk to the temple, his hands to clean the temple, his ears to listen to Harikatha. His nose was for smelling the incense and all stuff which was offered to the Lord, the perfumes which were offered to the Lord, etc. Okay, so we need to be blessed by the sacred foot dust of a pure devotee. Right? That can actually leapfrog our bhakti. Right? Just look at this, like, when Srila Prabhupada was around, he's a pure devotee. Even in the worst of hippies, those who were attached to the most degrading activities, they could become pure devotees themselves because of the power of association. Right? So, in our class, in Bhagavad Gita as well as in Canto number 1, we spoke about the Lord can be perceived in 3 ways. The first way is the energy of the Lord, the Brahman effulgence. And then the second way is the Paramatma in our hearts. And the third way, as Bhagwanji, person, Bhagwan, right? So this word, Satchit Ananda, Sat means eternal, right? Even the Sikhs use the word Sat, Satnam. So seekers seriously search for absolute truth begins with Sat, or the eternity aspect. So many a times, devotees, before they actually begin to worship the personal form of the Lord, they are more into the Brahma Jyoti aspect of the Lord. Okay, we saw even the four Kumaras, even Sukadev Goswami. Right? So the Lord is everywhere, the energy of the Lord, etc. Then it brings one to the chit, or the consciousness aspect of the Lord, which is Paramatma. Right? So then we come to the aspect of the Lord, which is in our heart. Yes, He's there as His energy, but the Lord is also localized in our heart, providing us that consciousness also next to our spirit soul. Then finally one wonders what the Lord does in His own abode, separated from the material world, and then brings us to the understanding of bliss, that the Lord is actually the most beautiful person, called Bhagwan. In that aspect, He's fully manifested in His name, fame, form, and qualities. That is the complete understanding. So as you progress from Brahma Jyoti to the Paramatma to the Bhagwan, you are actually progressing from Sat Chit into the bliss form of the Lord. Okay. So I just wanted to share this. We also spoke about, when we get into devotional service, right? It's an investment, right? Bhagwanji, devotion is an investment also. Yeah? All right. But the returns are amazing. The more you engage in this, the more you will get that love. All right? Spontaneous love for the Lord. So the returns are very, very high. If the returns are very high, that means that the rate is also very high, right? Some of the devotees, some of the hippies, within one day they became a devotee. My nephew, all right, 15 years old, I took him to Vrindavan. Not I took him to Vrindavan. Krishna invited him to Vrindavan and I was just an instrument. It was the last day of Kartik. 15-year-old boy was so mesmerized. He said, just that moment's association with the devotees, that moment's association with the Dham, he decided to become a vegetarian that same evening. 15-year-old boy. So you look at the rate of investment, the rate of returns, amazing, just a moment's. That's why the Dham is so potent. If you approach the Dham with an open heart, you will receive the mercy. Look at Lalita Mataji. She's not here because she has a very bad cough. Look at Raj Prabhu. Look at Satya Mataji. Look at Deepa. Lalita and Deepa Mataji, they have after returning from Vrindavan, they have become pure vegetarians. They started chanting. Some of them are already at 16 rounds. So that tells you that the rate of return is huge, amazing. Is it reachable? Is it something which is difficult like meditation, etc.? No, anyone can chant the Lord's names, right? Right. So, yeah, and it can be done by anyone. Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days, yes, but actually in the womb of his mother, already he was in a devotional service. Dhruva Maharaj, right, and Prahlad, at such a young age of 5, they were already getting into devotional service. Dhritarashtra, when towards the final fag end, the last 5 days of his life, then he became, but still he had some envy against Krishna. Ajmil, he started off, but along the way he forgot because of the association with the prostitute. And then just the name of the Lord revived him. Bilva Mangal Thakur also, amazing devotee of the Lord. But he was attracted to this woman. What's the name of the woman? Chintamani. Remember? Bilva Mangal Thakur. He was so attracted to Chintamani. The father's funeral was going on. He told the priest, please complete it. I need to rush to Chintamani. You know, the food was prepared to serve to the Brahmanas. He packed the food and he went and gave it to Chintamani. It was raging rains. He couldn't cross the river to go to Chintamani's house. And what did he do? He tried to swim. He couldn't. He found a log. He clung on to the log to go to the other side, only to realize later that it was a dead corpse. He reached the other side, wanted to go up to her house. He could not. The door, she couldn't hear him because of the torrential rains, the thunderstorm. And then he climbed up using a snake, which he thought was a rope. And he finally reached, knocked her door, and he said, you know, Chintamani, just look at my love for you. How? Right? I left my father's funeral pyre. I left serving the Brahmanas. I clinged on to a dead body, climbed over using a snake, and I finally reached you. Just see my love for you. And what did Chintamani tell him? For this peck of bones and flesh, you have, you know, gone through so much of danger. If instead of this flesh and blood of mine, if you gave your devotion to Sri Krishna, can you imagine where you will be? So the scriptures actually explain that Chintamani was his guru. You know, Prabhupada says that when a spiritual master initiates you, until he doesn't bring you to the spiritual world, he himself will have to come back again and again. You know, it's such a heavy job the spiritual master has. So Chintamani was actually like his guru. So when you read the book by Bilva Mangal Thakur, Madhurya Kadambini, I think is the name of the book. You know, the authors will always say, right, this is dedicated to who? He said, this is dedicated to Chintamani. Okay? So it can be any time. Is it reliable? Is it risky? What if, Shalini Mataji, you have been practicing devotional service, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, every day you wake up in the morning, right? You do Mangal Aarti, you prepare food stuff, etc. You chant your rounds, etc. Only to realize at the end of life that Krishna doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. Then how? How? Think about this. A reporter asked Prabhupada this question. Karuna, you don't have to cry. How will you answer? Subhashji, what do you think? You have been doing everything, and then finally, at the time of death, you know, don't mind me saying this, huh? At the time of Pradeep Kumar's death, he's waiting. Koi aaya hi nahi. Only the Yamas are there. No, but there's no concept of God. God doesn't exist. Then how? Ramji. This thought will come. Very good. We are all 100% convinced. But a reporter asked Prabhupada. I love what he says. No, but the reporter. Yeah, yes, exactly. So you know how Prabhupada replied? Prabhupada said that, you know, this is Ananda we are doing. We are getting so much of bliss in the entire process of doing devotional service. It's Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam. The more you do, the more you feel Ananda. Right? Now, Mr. Reporter, what about you?
At least I'm receiving all that Ananda in the entire process until my last moments. What about you? You think there is no God, but at the end of your life, when you realize there's God, what is going to happen to you? Neither you have Ananda here, nor Ananda in future. What an amazing result, God, answer, right? That's why it's nice to read the conversations which Prabhupada had with reporters. It's just a lot of out of the box thinking. No, we can say no, scriptures say this and all that, but sometimes you just have to think out of the box on how you reply to them. They will say, when you say no, scriptures are scriptures also written by men. How do you know? You see, when someone doesn't believe in something, he can come up with 1,001 reasons. Okay, but then think about Ananda. While you're doing more service, you feel so good, right? Yeah. Okay. Convinced? Shift? Great. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Subhash Prabhu, what do you think? Aha. Yeah. 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 It's okay. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So that brings me to another point, which is, when you go to the beach, right? You can either sit at the seashore and then appreciate the beach, or you can be like one of those Gujarati Masis will go to the water, put the feet in a little bit, play around with the water and come back. They also enjoyed it. Or it can be like Anuj who swims all the way to the middle of the sea. He feels good, he comes back. Or you can have a diver who goes to the middle and he goes deep down in and he gets all the jewels. So the point is, we are in devotional service today, right? Are we just scratching the surface, or are we having a clear intention of orchestrating our life to be around devotional service? Are we looking for the jewels, or are we just, Bhagavad Gita is a nice book to have, nice book to keep in my counter, right? As it is there, no, as it is, right? So it's up to us. We can also enjoy spiritually, like what they are talking materially, we can enjoy also until that stage. Why is it otherwise that people 40 years can still be doing the same service for Krishna, still baking the same cake, still decorating every morning? Why? Because they feel so much of Anand, right? Contrast it with someone who has been drinking and smoking, right? They are also in the same way, but this is which pleases the heart. That one needs additional impetus, law of diminishing returns are there. So the point I'm trying to make is, yes, sometimes, if we can ask ourselves, yes, if we are just scratching the surface and not going deep, then those guys over there, they are having a more gala time here, right? After life, they will go through ups and downs of the samsara. But for us who are scratching the surface and not going in, we know the philosophy, we know, but we are still, okay, tomorrow we will do it. What's going to happen to us? Who challenges this? My 15-year-old nephew, the big guy who comes once a while and sit at the back, he challenges me. He said, Chacha, yeah, we do all of this, but sometimes I think those people in the outside world, they are, more, they are enjoying more. I say yes, because we are just scratching the surface. We are not going deep into it. Oh, very good point, Prabhuji. Very good. Anything else you'd like to? No? Okay. All right. So, practice we adopt not just for the progress, but actually for our perfection. Yeah. So Krishna says, "Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mat arpanam." Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that as an offering to me. Right? So now Bhagavatam starts, Canto number 2, chapter number 1, verse number 6. Maybe let's take a break before we go deeper. All right, Hare Krishna. There's a lot of prasadam today. Wow, a big feast. Yesterday was Ekadasi. Right? Yesterday was Ekadasi. I would suggest that, maybe from now onwards, you all can also observe Ekadasi. It's very simple. Just like you all do Mata's Vart, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's good. It's good for us, and try to do a little bit more activity. Yeah. So for those of you who are joining virtually, just have a tea, coffee break if you want, while I pause the recording over here. Okay. Right. Just a gentle reminder for those of you who have not, registered or joined that group for the Yatra in November, December. Please do it, because I want to, start the planning. For example, just for the Eco Village in Mumbai, we only have 5 rooms because there are major Kirtan festivals during that time. So they have only allotted 5 rooms for us, plus 1 for me. So it's 6 rooms. I'm actually going to be teaching there for 2 days. Right. So yeah, once again, if you want to go, that's great. If you don't want to go, no issues at all. Yeah. Yeah, you can always think about going later on by yourself or. Okay. So now we begin with looking at the verses within Canto number 2, chapter number 1. So we begin with this verse, the 6th verse of Canto chapter number 1, whereby it is mentioned that the highest perfection of human life. Otherwise, we are, the animals also eat, sleep, reproduce. They do all of those activities just like us. It is just that we are different because we have been given that additional consciousness to realize what's the purpose of life, right? So the highest perfection of human life is achieved by complete knowledge of what is matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfectly discharging occupational duty, is to remember the Lord at the end of life. So whatever we may be doing, we can be a karma yogi, right? Doing our work, not attached to the results. Whatever time we have, whatever resources we have, we use that in the service of the Lord. Or we can be a jnani, right? Who just keeps on reading the scriptures, reflecting on them. Or we can be a yogi who is either meditating on the Brahman effulgence or the Paramatma in our heart. So whichever route we want to take, first and foremost, you are a yogi because you are reconnecting to the Lord. But most important, the ultimate achievement will be if we can remember the Lord at the time of death. Okay? And one can achieve this provided one is able to reach the stage of Narayan Smriti, or constant remembrance. We cannot remember the Lord at the end if we do not practice it right now. Okay? We have to practice it every day. So Ajamila was smart. He named his son Narayan just by providence arrangement. He named his son Narayan. Right? Yes, initially before this. Yes, correct. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Nothing comes free. No free lunch.
That's why I said by the arrangement of providence.
Yeah.
It's not a free lunch.
Not because of saying a word only.
Correct. That is why there's the biggest investment.
And work very hard. You really want it.
Correct. That's the best investment.
No. You chop it up.
That is why I said earlier on, we were discussing, you can either be at the shore of the beach, right, and say, yes, I know all of this, or you can go deep to look for the jewels. In the case of Ajmila, initially he went deep to look for the jewels. Okay. All right. And that's only possible if we have invested, just like what Prabhuji said. Hare Krishna. Renuka, can you put some prashad for Prabhuji? Yeah. Okay. So I just got some feedback from one of the virtual participants. Right. So sometimes I will be saying like, Bhagwanji, what do you think? Right. So the participant was thinking, wow, Padma Lochan can actually see Bhagwanji and communicate with him. So for your information, we have a person over here called Bhagwan Das. We have another person over here called Krishan Das. Right? And we have one more person over here called Ram Sanehi. So when I call Ram, Bhagwan, etc., they are actual persons. All right. But it's amazing that you are thinking that, we are already communicating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So we have a Bhagwan over here. Let me show you who Bhagwanji. So that's Bhagwanji over here. That's Kishan at the back. And this is Ram Prabhu. All right. Then you have Karuna Mai over here. You have Shalini. Shalini's mother, brother, sister-in-law. Raj Prabhu, Subhash over there. And Shefali Mataji. All right. So these are all our participants today. A few of them could not come because they are away and they will watch the recording. Right. So this is possible only by the association of a pure devotee who can give a finishing touch to the transcendental activities of all jnanis, yogis or karmis in terms of the prescribed duties. Okay. So whatever it is, we need the association. This verse is saying, right? Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Yes. They are one and the same, Prabhuji. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you see, they are all one and the same expansions of the Lord, right? So when you approach Narayan, it's always in awe and reverence. You are like, like a servant, a humble servant, and the Lord is in awe and reverence. Like you go to Tirupati, you go to a Perumal temple, etc. But when you approach Krishna, Krishna is a young cowherd boy with curly hairs, bluish complexion. All right. You can get into 12 different rasas, 5 different primary rasas with the Lord. As a lover, as a parent, as a friend, in neutral relationships, etc. Right? So Narayan is like Lord in the office and Krishna is Lord at home, where you can play around with him, etc. So although it says Narayan Smriti, we can also think of it referring to the avatars of Krishna. Because remembering the Lord, Narayan, Vishnu, etc. brings us to the spiritual world. But within the spiritual world, you have Goloka Vrindavan, which is the highest, where Krishna lives. Then you have the various Vaikuntha planets, where each of the Narayan expansions live. So some of them are happy just to be with Narayan. Right? So it's one and the same. Simplify. Prabhu, it's okay. Yeah, it's like those in the Vishnu and in the Vishnu Sampradayas, those who are those who are in the Sri Sampradaya, they will all worship Vishnu, right? We are from this Sampradaya where we worship Vishnu. It's one and the same, Prabhu. Yeah. As long as we come out of the material world, that's the most important. So what happens if, right, it says over here, Narayan Smriti, you must remember Krishna or Narayan at all the times, so that at the end we will remember Krishna. But what happens at the end if we are coughing and coughing, we are in so much of pain, suddenly the doctor injects us with morphine to reduce our pain, and we get into a hallucination and we forget Krishna. Then the Lord himself will come and take us. Okay, there is a verse in Varaha Purana which explains that the Lord will himself come and take us if we cannot remember the Lord. Right? That's the promise which the Lord has made. We may have the clear intention of wanting this, but sometimes, okay. Right? So life should be molded in such a manner that we are able to progressively remember the Lord in every step of life. In fact, I know of some devotees, even when they are consciously breathing, they are like, they are breathing. The mantra is like they are reciting the mantra while they are breathing. They are all very elevated. Okay, so Sukadev Goswami then instructs, what is the value of a prolonged life which is wasted, inexperienced by years in this world? Better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after his supreme interest. What's the use of having long life if we cannot even invest a single moment in realizing what our ultimate purpose is, which is yoga, which is to reconnect back with the Lord. Okay. In order to encourage Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami said this. Parikshit Maharaj only had 7 days remaining, and Sukadev Goswami asserted that there is no use in living hundreds of years without any knowledge of the problem of life. Better to live for a moment with full consciousness of the Supreme. Right? So he's telling, don't worry, 7 days is a lot of time. Who is Parikshit Maharaj referencing now? Katvanga Maharaj. All right, Katvanga Maharaj was asked to help the Devatas in fighting a war against the Asuras. Okay, he won that, and then he asked the Devatas, please tell me how much of time do I have balance? All right, the Devatas told him that some books say 1 Mahurat, some books say half a Mahurat. And then what he said, okay, I want to go back to the material world, and I just want to focus on the Lord for the remaining 46 minutes or 23 minutes. Okay, so even he had perfected his life just by remembering the Lord in the last moments. Okay, so Parikshit Maharaj says, okay, 7 days is long time. So this Katvanga Maharaj, the saintly king Katvanga, after being informed that the duration of his life would only be a moment more, and once freed himself from all material activities and took shelter of the supreme safety, the supreme personality of Godhead. And you, Parikshit, you have 7 more days. Don't worry. One should always be alert in his duty for attainment of the best situation in the next life. Human life is meant for preparing ourselves for that prime duty. Priyanka Mataji, can make sense, huh? So, there are some devotees who are into the Brahman effulgence, some of them into the localized aspect of the Lord, and some as Bhagwan. Okay. Now, Sukadev Goswami explains further that you can also see this material manifestation as the body of the Lord. Okay? So this gigantic Virat Rupa manifestation of the material world as a whole is the personal body of the Lord. Okay? Where this is actually the past, the present, and the future. Right? So that's another way to conceive. The entire material world is the Virat Rupa of the Lord. This gigantic universal form is the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements. A little confusing, but let me explain to you what it means. Okay? So Raj Prabhu earlier on alluded to the fact that there are 14 planetary systems. Right? We are in the center over here, Gurloka. All right? The highest is Anti-Satya's planet, Satyaloka. Okay? Where Lord Brahma stays. Lowest is Patala. And below that you have all the hellish planets. Okay? We are in the middle. So we can either go up if we have done great activities, lots of charity, but somehow they are not dovetailed to Krishna, we will just remain over here. Okay, but if we remember the Lord, if we chant the Lord's name, then the Bhakti Lata beach will keep on climbing up and breaking this universal shell and go up to Goloka Vrindavan and take refuge of the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so from here, your sadhana can actually bring you, your Bhakti Lata beach, all the way to Goloka Vrindavan. So now what Bhagavatam is saying is that you can also conceive or perceive the Lord, okay, as occupying the entire single universe. So this is how it looks. Okay, so you can see over here the material side of, and then encaged by the material elements. Okay, so you can see that the Lord is like, pervading the entire. Actually, what we know from our class is this is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, right? Within, right? So actually, you can also see that he's pervading the entire. So that's another way. So what does it mean? If the Lord can also be seen as, permeating the entire material universe, then the feet of the Lord is Patala. All right. Then the heels and the toes is Rasatala. Mahatala will be the ankles. The shanks will be the Talatala. Goes all the way to Satyaloka, which is the head of the Lord. Can Raj Prabhu? Makes sense, huh? So this is another way you can perceive the Lord. Right? Then later you will see all of this. It explains that the arms of the Lord, they are all the Devatas. The ears of the Lord, okay, that's also represented by the Dik Devatas, right? And the organs of hearing, the subtle ears are sound. What's the nostrils representing? The Ashwini Kumaras. The mouth will be the blazing fire, etc. Okay, it's very, very technical. Not really important for us to know too much of this, right? Even if we remember today, tomorrow we will forget. It's too much, right? Then the hair on the head of the Lord will be like represents the clouds, etc. So this all-pervading personality of Godhead resides as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. Right? And the measurement of the localized personality is estimated to expand from the ring finger to the end of the thumb. So this is the ring finger to the end of the thumb. So it's like this. That's the Lord. Okay. Paramatma is there. Parikshit Maharaj saw him in the thumb size. Okay. So this is how the Lord is. And the Lord is actually sitting on a lotus, right? Lotus flower. So his lotus feet are placed over the balls of the lotus-like hearts of the great mystic. On his chest is the Kastuba jewel engraved with a beautiful calf, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. and the complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers. So some devotees, when they chant the Lord's name, they also, perceive the Lord as being in their heart. Can you point exactly where the Lord is? No. This is a material body. The Lord is spiritual. So we know you cannot really put an X, Y, and Z axis to a spiritual entity. So this is our object of worship, right? Govind, Krishna, right? He's well decorated with an ornamental wreath studded about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers, his leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing. So when the Western devotees were asked to paint pictures of Krishna, they were like clueless. I'm sitting in Los Angeles. Prabhupada is asking me, paint Krishna. So this is where they go to get an idea of how the Lord looks like. The scriptures explain all of this. Maybe in today's AI world, if you put all of this into canvas, is it Canva? Yeah, maybe it'll produce to you something like this also. Okay, so it's all based on the scriptures. All of this is explained in the scriptures, how the Supreme Lord looks like. Okay. So the process, this is interesting. The process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And progress to the smiling face. And the meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limb, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified. Okay. So when you're chanting the Lord's names, you can also do that. Actually, if you watch the kirtan, which we have for the Chinese, I'm like mesmerized when I see them. They will be in deep trance, They'll put their hand on their chest. I do not know how they know all of this, yeah? Wow. Amazing. Raj, you saw them. Deep, huh? We sometimes take our practice, we take it so casually, and look at the Chinese, the Westerners, they take it with so much of enthusiasm. For us, it's like dal, what's that? Gar ki murgi dal barabar. It's in our courtyard. Okay, if you say so, Prabhu. No, we take inspiration. No. My point is as follows. Okay, Prabhu, I'm sorry about this. No, I'm not asking to look at anybody's wife, Prabhu. Okay, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. Very nice. But I still feel we take okay. Okay, Prabhu. You are the best, lah. I should not even look at you. Huh? No, but I want to look at you. Okay, okay. Okay. That's a good point. So, yeah, so for all of you here, Bhagwan Ji is speaking right now. So Bhagwan Ji says, Krishna consciousness took in a big way in India when they saw that the Westerners could do it, and we have forgotten the real essence. Okay, let's move on. So the primary practice of Bhakti Yoga will cause the seed already sown in the heart to sprout. Remember, we spoke about this. The seed is already there, right? We need to let it grow, water it, etc. Along the way, the weeds will also be there, right? If you keep on watering and chanting, yes, we may be chanting and chanting, we may be doing all this devotional service, but if we do not remove the weeds will also climb up. and bring us down. That is why sometimes you may have the most spiritual person who does all of this, but they may still have this anarthas in them, right? Like myself, for example. Okay, let's move on. So these are all the anarthas. Okay, offenses by one at the feet of a pure devotee. It's like a mad elephant offense. Like an elephant goes into a garden. What does the elephant do? Yeah. Okay. This spoils the entire garden. It's like a bull in a china shop, for example. So you can read all of this. Right? So we are in Govaloka, remember? Just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We break out of the universe covering. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now we are getting into the spiritual world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Eventually, we will reach Goloka Vrindavan. Our Bhakti Lata beach will grow nicely until then. Okay, but if we have the anarthas, it will just keep on pulling. So we have discussed this many times. So the conditioned souls in the material world, like us, after gaining emancipation by devotional service, are promoted to those higher planets. But the number of ever liberated souls is far greater than the number of conditioned souls in the material world. And the ever liberated souls in the Vaikuntha planets never care to visit this miserable world. So we may sometimes think, why is the population increasing? Right? It's because some of the very happy ones are wanting to experiment. They come down to the material world. Some of the animals, they have transitioned into the human form. All right, so that's the reason. But Krishna says, once you have come back to my spiritual abode, after doing your entire journey, you will not go back into the material world. Okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, right? Okay, so the impersonalists, the Brahmavadis, who aspire to merge into the Brahman effulgence, all right, they have no conception of loving devotional service to him in the personal form. So there are some of them who just believe in meditation, but no service, right? It becomes dry. They reach that Brahman effulgence, and then what do? Because we know that we are individual souls. We will remain as individual souls forever, even after merging into the Brahman effulgence. So, but a devotee who enters the kingdom of God by transcendental engagement of his senses in devotional service and who associates with the liberated souls and the personality of Godhead there will never be attracted to the limited surroundings of the material world. So once bitten, many times shy. Okay, so now we move on to chapters number 4 to 7 of Canto number 2, the universal creation. This is a little bit technical, but bear with me. So, who is the secondary creator? Brahmaji, right? Primary is the Supreme Lord himself. So we learned over here, from this picture you can see, how from the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, you have the lotus and Brahmaji manifest there, right? So how many Brahmajis are there? Yes, every universe there is one Brahmaji. Some with 4 heads, some with 5, 6, 7, 8, 100 heads, etc. So now, so Brahma replies in natural humility. The Lord provided all the original ingredients of creation and then gave Brahmaji the service of engineering the universe. So how did the Lord give the elements? Can you see the covering over here? All the elements were given in the covering. Okay, you can see over here. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All nicely given. Brahmaji, I'm giving this to you, and now you create. But Brahma is confused. What's my role? I do not know what to do. I do not know what's my purpose. So Brahma then offered a technical explanation of the evolution of various elements, the three modes of material nature, and the aspects of sense perception. But before that, let's look at the cosmos. Okay, so Brahmaji is the secondary creator. He's given all these elements. He put this all together. And then there is the yugas. We learned there is Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, and Kali Yuga. All right. In total, it's like 4.32 million years. Okay, 4.32 million years if you were to add this. So, one day of Brahmaji is 1,000 of this combined. This is a Divya Yuga. Okay, so you will see over here the 4 yugas. So altogether there are 1,000 cycles of this Divya Yuga or Maha Yuga in one day of Brahma. Okay. So Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, Kali, then go back again, 1,000 times completes one day of Brahma. Then there is another one night of Brahma. But is there any Kali Yuga during that time? I mean, is there any yugas during that time? Actually, it's all quiet. There are no, because it's the partial devastation. Okay. Every day of Brahma, after 12 hours, slowly it devastates and gets into a dark mode, and then the day starts again. Okay. So in every Divya Yuga, Krishna comes. In every Divya Yuga, Kalki avatar also comes. Okay. So in one day of Brahma, how many times Krishna comes? 1,000 times. Okay. 1,000 times Krishna is coming. Right? So look at this. In Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwarpa, and then Kali Yuga. So 1,000 of this, 1,000 Divya Yuga or Maha Yuga is equivalent to one day of Brahma. Okay. So this is the time scale, it's very, very confusing. Over here you see one Divya Yuga, 1,000 of this will make one day, and the life of Brahma is 100 years. So that is why when Brahmaji stole the calves, the time was like, for him was just a few seconds he stole it, but on earth it was like one whole year. All right, so just need to remember these two facts. 1,000 Divya Yuga is one day of Brahmaji. So the 1,000 Maha Yuga happens in the daytime and takes 4.32 million human years, billion human years to happen. And there are no Maha Yugas during the next 12 hours or the night time. So during the next 12 hours when Brahma sleeps, there's no need to create any of the Maha Yugas. In fact, when Brahma sleeps during his 12 hours, there's also a partial devastation or annihilation. Okay, so the creation and annihilation of the material world is a regular action of the Lord, just to allow the conditioned souls to play as they like and thereby create their own fate of being differently created again and again in terms of the independent desires which we have. So essentially what Bhagavatam is saying is that, assuming we came here from the spiritual world, we wanted to enjoy independently, we come into Satya Yuga. Okay? And then our human life is 100 years. We go 100 years, 100 years, 100 years, 100 years. We are done here. No, we go back. There's still another 1,000 of this. We go on. Sometimes we go up into the Satyaloka, sometimes down. We'll go on, go on, go on, go on until Brahmaji says, okay, it's time for me to sleep. I've already worked for 12 hours. Now I want to sleep. Then we will all enter into the universe. And then once he wake up again, we will go back to where we had joined, where we had stopped. The same nature, our Swabhava will also enter into the new body. Our resultant karma will also go into that same body. Okay? So very simple. So how can one achieve the ultimate abode? What is the inspiration? Such a beautiful picture of Krishna. So 2.4.21 explains, it is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna who gives liberation, or Mukunda, right? By thinking of his lotus feet and every second following in the footsteps of the sadhus, the authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. Okay, so thinking of Mukunda, the mystic yogis, after a strenuous effort to control the senses, may be situated in a trance of yoga just to have a vision of the super soul within them. Right? So they work so hard. They keep on meditating, controlling all their senses. And finally, they get a glimpse of the Lord as Paramatma in their hearts. They can meditate on him, etc. But for the pure devotee, he's not even looking for that. What he wants to do is just remember the Lord's lotus feet, and every second he becomes established in a real trust just by engaging in devotional service. Just by chanting the Lord's name. Just by chanting the Lord's name, by doing kirtan, by reading the scriptures, by doing real devotional service of serving the Lord, for example, cooking, mopping the Lord's temple, blah, 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 doing all of this, the Paramatma in the heart will remove all of the dirt. The devotee only aspires to become a speck of the transcendental dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, because he's enjoying Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam compared to the yogi who is just controlling his senses. Over here, the devotee uses the senses to serve the Lord and therefore bringing about bliss to the senses. Okay, so this is Kulashekar Alwar. Okay, you go to South India, they have this 108 Divya Desams, which were established by the Alwars. Okay, so you can actually go to all these 108 Divya Desam. I went to one recently in Badrin, in Devaprayag. There's one of them there too. The Raghunath temple, that's one of the Divya Desam. Anyway, so King Kulashekar, do you all remember the story of Kulashekar Alwar? Shalini, remember? Tell us. Okay, never mind, I'll help you. So essentially, he loved hearing the Ramayana. Right? He loved hearing the Ramayana every day. So the Panditji will come and recite the Ramayana to him. But the Panditji knows that I cannot go beyond a certain point because Kulashekar Alwar will get into a trance. Right? He's a king and he will get into a trance-like stage where he's thinking that he is one of the commanders in the army of Lord Ram. So one day, this Panditji went out and told his son to please take over the reading of the Ramayana. So while the son was reading the Ramayana, he didn't even recall that he has to stop at a certain point, and he kept on reading further and further. And then Kulashekar Alwar got into a trance. He said, "What are we doing here? Ram is going to Lanka to bring Sita back. What are we doing here? We should all go, bring our army." So the entire army actually, got paraded down to Rameswaram. Right? Then he told his army, "What are you doing? Let's get into the waters. Ram will protect us. Let's get into the waters." And then while he was going into the waters, Lord Ram manifested himself and said that, okay, I've already saved Sita, you can actually go back. That was the fervor of Kulashekar Alvar's devotion. And he says, my dear Krishna, right? I pray that my mind or the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lord. Essentially, I just hope my mind, can be drenched very, very close to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that they are drenched and they are locked there. Because as I progress further in my life, during my final moment, all this kapha, pitta and all that, I'll be coughing and coughing, and my throat will be choked with cough. How will I remember you? You better take me now while my mind is still remembering. My mind is still soaked, around your lotus feet. So that is how, our mood is supposed to be. You look at the fishermen. When a fisherman casts a net, which fishes does he catch? Those which are further from him, actually, right? Those fishes which are near to him, he cannot cast a net. So similarly, we are telling the Lord, we are all near your lotus feet, because Maya, when she casts a net out, your energy, oh Lord, your energy is Maya. When you cast Maya out, she will catch everyone else except those who are next to your feet. So we want to be next to your feet. That's an amazing analogy. Yeah? What do you think, Anuj? I like that, actually. Yeah? Because the external energy of the Lord, Maya, is from the Lord himself. When he cast it out, then all those fishes who are far away from his feet, they will get. So this King Kulashekar Alvar. Okay, so just like, we have our time scale, there's also a time scale in Vedic astrology and astronomy, right? One nimesha is one blink. When you remember the nimesha, do you remember any episode from Bhagavatam? Remember the gopis. The gopis are scolding Brahmaji. What kind of creation you did with all the elements Krishna had provided you? You gave us eyelids. Why do we need eyelids? We cannot see Krishna continuously when he's in front of us, because we have to close our eyelids. Otherwise, we will start tearing. So they are reprimanding Brahma. What kind of imperfect creation you did? That's how I remember Nimesha. Blink. 15 blinks will one kasta. 30 kasta, one kala. 30 kalas, one shana. Okay, so yeah, you want to memorize, you can memorize, but that's beyond my intelligence. So the Lord creates and again winds up the entire creation. This action is applicable only in the material world, because the other greater part of the creation, namely the spiritual world, where Vaikuntha planets are, is neither created nor annihilated. Otherwise, the Vaikuntha Dham would not have been called eternal. Okay. So now let's look at Krishna, how his expansion comes about. In our Bhagavad Gita classes, we have learned that from Karuna Dakshayi Vishnu, who is on the Karuna ocean, right, when he breathes out, millions of universes appear from his pores. Within each universe, Karuna Dakshayi Vishnu had already expanded into Garbho Dakshayi Vishnu. Within each Garbho Dakshayi Vishnu, within each universe, the Lord then expands as Chiro Dakshayi Vishnu or Paramatma in every living entity, in every atom. Okay, that is why the Lord knows what is happening. So that is what we have learned. But the Bhagavatam explains even further that actually Krishna is Bhagavanstu Swayam, right? So he's the cause of all causes. The first expansion of Krishna is Balram. Then from Balram comes the next expansion of Shankarshan and Vasudev, Pradyumna and Anirudh. So from this Balram, the first expansion, Sankarshan, is actually Balram himself. He expands again as himself, Balram. Vasudev takes the form of Vasudev Krishna, right? And then you have Pradyumna, who is expanding as the son of Krishna. And Anirudh is the grandson of Krishna, right? Then from that Sankarshan, we have the expansion of Narayan. Okay. Then comes the second Sankarshan, Vasudev, Pradyumna and Anirudh. Then from this Sankarshan, then comes Mahavishnu on the Kaushal ocean. Then from there, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and finally, Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Okay. Then the Lord expands further into all the Leela avatars, like Matsya, even Yagya, right? Vishnu, who accepts our Yagya offerings. He is a person called Yagya. We have Nara Narayan, Kapiladev, right? Then we have Hamsa, we have Rishabdev, Prithu. So Rishabdev, you will remember that from him, the Jain religion actually started. Okay, Bhagavatam explains all of this. Then we have the Guna avatars. Brahmaji, responsible for creation, that is passion, right? Vishnu in the mode of goodness, and Shiva in the mode of ignorance. Okay. Then you have the Yuga avatars, Manvantara avatars, etc. So now the question to you is, when Vishnu is expanding into Garbhodakshai Vishnu, one Mahavishnu expands into how many Garbhodakshai Vishnu? Infinite. Remember, Mahavishnu is on the causal ocean. He breathes out millions of universes. Every universe, there's one Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Okay. So when the Lord expands into million universes, what happens to his own energy? What do you think, Raj? Nothing happens. Yes. Okay. The Lord can keep on expanding, but he remains the same. Okay. So this is nicely explained in this verse, which I've explained to you. They are like lamps of equal power, which kindle from one lamp to another. You take one candle, you keep on, right? That is the transcendental potency of the Lord. If I have an apple, I remove half of it, half of apple is left. But for the Lord, no. He keeps on expanding, but the potency, his mercy, etc., remains the same. The Vedas say that he is so complete that even though the whole complete identity comes from him, he still remains the same complete whole. Okay? That's how the mathematic formula, infinity minus infinity is still infinity. Amazing, isn't it? Right? So this is why is there's so much of emphasis on this creation. Because it tells us that, wow, we have got this huge, big ego. I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who built this home, this school, this temple, etc. You are nothing, man. All right. We are so minute when we are confronted by a huge ocean. We naturally will feel so small and humble. That is the reason. All right. It's to show Krishna's greatness, how great the Lord is. We are nothing. Okay. So this whole explanation is there in Sri Ishopanishad. Right. So let's recite this verse together. It's a very nice verse. Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasisyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, Everything emanating from him, such as the phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he still remains the complete whole. Okay, you can see over here Mahavishnu, millions of universes emanating from him. Within each universe, you can actually see there's one Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, but still the same. Okay, so this is for your records. You can go back and see how the Lord expands. But know that some sampradayas do not take this as it is. Okay, they believe that Narayan is the greatest. Some sampradayas say Krishna is the greatest. For us, doesn't matter. They are one and the same. Right? We don't get into this fight. We don't get into this argument. So now let's look at Brahmaji. All right. So from Garbhodakshayi Vishnu's navel, right, the stem of the lotus is growing. It produces the nice, beautiful lotus flower, and Brahmaji appears on top of the lotus flower. Total darkness. Just close your eyes and imagine. Total darkness. What do I do here? Brahmaji is asking. So what he does is he comes out from his seat of that lotus. He traverses through the lotus stem. He goes up and down, down and then up. He's confused. What do I do? Why have I been brought here? And then he hears the word tapa, tapa, tapa. Okay. Then he realizes that I'm asked to meditate. Meditate on whom? That is where the Paramatma in Brahmaji's heart gives him that intelligence to meditate on Krishna or Vishnu. And all that intelligence will come to you on what your role is. That intelligence will tell you that you are the secondary creator. All the elements are already produced. They are making the outer circles of the universe. Your work is to bring all of them together. Your work is also to ensure that there is progeny. There's more and more population in this material world. Okay, that's it. That's the whole chapter. Okay. So even the first spiritual master of the universe was enlightened by the grace of the Lord. So who else can attain perfect knowledge of everything without the mercy of the Lord? So you can see over here, right? So while thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice, tapa, tapa, the wealth of the renounced order of life. So you can read, thus Brahma was initiated by the Krishna mantra by Lord Krishna himself, and thus he became a Vaishnav or a devotee of the Lord before he was able to construct the huge universe. Right? And then it has already been mentioned that Brahma was initiated by the Lord from within. The post of Brahma to officiate in the creation of the universe is offered to the most pure living being. All right? So Karunamai, you can get to that level, you know, anybody can get. Yeah. Technically speaking. Yes. Yes. Yes, very good. Yeah. So you see, Prabhu, every living entity can be deluded by the Lord. Every living entity. Yes. So you see, even Brahmaji, after being initiated by the mantra, by the Supreme Lord, he can also get fooled on who is this small little Krishna boy who is performing the miracles in Vrindavan. He can also be fooled. And what we do is when we chant 16 rounds, we suddenly feel, oh, I'm already pure. And then the next fall down will come in our lives. Brahmaji, he can get into this. Indra, is this young boy who is stopping all of this food stuff from the residents of Vrindavan and Gokul, bringing it for me? Who is he to stop this and just offering it to the Govardhan hill? Let me show him how powerful I am. Then he let go of that Vajra and the torrential rains all over Vrindavan. Krishna just had to lift up the entire Govardhan hill with his small little finger. Right? And then Indra realized that, wow, everyone can be bewildered, Prabhuji. Everyone. Actually, these stories tell us that, how vulnerable we are in our lives. Yes. Yeah. So Bhagavatam explains to us all of this. So the Brahmaji underwent penances for 1,000 years by the calculations of the Devatas. And then he heard. So you can look at all of this. Personality of Godhead thus became very satisfied with the penance of Brahmaji and was pleased to show his personal abode by Vaikuntha. So now this is what, when you have a friend, your boss, okay, Ankurji, you came from India, now you're working over here, you develop a nice relationship with your boss. The boss invites you to his house. Okay, same thing is happening over here. So Brahmaji heard tapa, he got into a meditative position. He meditated on the Lord. The Lord then gave him that intelligence on what to do. I'm now ready to do my duty. But the Lord is very kind. The Lord said, come, let me show you my house. So the Lord will give him a glimpse of Vaikuntha, what it looks like in the spiritual world. Brahmaji, this is material world. Huh? This is only one universe, Let me show you what the spiritual world is all about. Let me show you how the residents are so happy in the spiritual world. But there are some of them who want to enjoy independently from me. And therefore, I built the universe where now you are in charge of the creation. Please create that entire ecosystem for all of these people. Okay? But come, let me show you my house. So the Lord gave him a glimpse of what Vaikuntha is. Every resident is with 4 hands. Shefaliji, imagine yourself with 4 hands. Yeah? All with 4 hands, with crowns, all serving the Lord. All of them with the bluish complexion. All of them look like Lord Vishnu himself. All of them have airplanes, Vimanas. They are flying around in their Vimanas. Okay? So Brahmaji showed the spiritual world. Brahmaji showed more about Krishna, right? And Brahmaji and Vishnu, and Brahmaji showed all about the residents. And then finally, Brahmaji says, okay, Master, I'm now ready for the creation. What does Vishnu do as the good boss? Of course. Huh? Shakes his hand. Remember, the first handshake was between the Lord shook hands with Brahmaji. Okay? And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings to be controlled as he desired, and thus being very satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him. Okay? So the first handshake was between the Lord and Brahmaji. So you can read all of this. Next week we will continue. You had 2 questions, Subhash Prabhuji. Can you just read out, Ankur? Yeah. I'll just have some water. And if I can't answer, I'll come back to you, Prabhuji. Hey, you're supposed to leave, yeah? You please go, No, you go now. You get, yeah. Okay, just read out and then you read out and you go. His daughter's birthday.
So the first question he asked is in previous lessons which I attended, I recall hearing that sage Vyasadeva did not feel totally satisfied even after he edited the Vedas
Yeah.
and compiled Puranas, Idihas, etc. Then it was on sage Narada's exhortation that he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam and derived full satisfaction, having glorified Lord Krishna's master and glorified Bhakti. In the second, so in the last two classes, Prabhuji mentioned that actually Sage Vyasadeva had already compiled a Srimad Bhagavatam version, and on Sage Narada's guidance, then he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam 2.0 version, which we now currently read. That's my understanding, right?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
So there was a Srimad
He had already written the Bhagavatam, but still it was lacking that aspect of devotional service to the Lord. And therefore he had to rewrite, re-index it, etc. So you're correct. This also I learned recently only, Prabhuji. Yeah. Correct. Exactly. Yeah. The more I learn, the more I share.
second question is, before being introduced to Krishna consciousness, before being introduced to Krishna consciousness, we have been benefited from favors answered by one of answered by any of the demigods previously, and thus offered prayers to them regularly. After knowing Lord Krishna is the supreme God, and all favors are received in the past through the demigod, were in fact sanctioned by the Lord. In what form should our relationship now continue with the demigods? Or must it cease?
Wonderful. You can start going. You can start going back, Prabhu. Okay, so essentially, they brought us to Krishna. They brought us to understand the real essence. So can we forget them? We are still very, very respectful. Before I came to Krishna consciousness, my wife and I were devotees of Goddess Durga. All right, we even brought Narinder Chanchal to Singapore. Amazing event in Singapore we had. Because of my daughter's Munnan was also done in Vaishno Devi. Right? But by her mercy, as we progress in our devotion with her, she showed us the real path. Does it mean we forget her? No. We continue to pay our respects to them. Yes, we cannot just walk past them. We need to pay our obeisances to them. Thank them for showing us this. It's very important. Yeah. Never mind. Akama, moksha kama, and akarma. We learned it last week. Even if we are doing and asking all that, still just worship Krishna. Because in the process, we will get purified. And we will realize that what are we asking for? Broken pieces of glasses when we can actually get the diamond. In the words of Dhruva Maharaj, all our blessings for his daughter's birthday. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Sorry, Prabhu, we took you. Please run away. Thank you. Okay, Granth Raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. So, for those of you who have joined the class virtually, thank you very much. Some of you have run away. Mahindra, my friend from Dubai, how are you?
All well, Prabhu, how are you? It's so wonderful just hearing you all.
Very nice. Venkat Raman, how are you from Bangalore? Okay, thank you very much, Shamugam Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sapna Mataji, Manoj Prabhu, Dhanati Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thanks for staying back. See you all soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.